Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Anna, and we have yet another really, really dear friend of mine, Marisa, with us here today. She's an intuitive and business coach. She's a founder of Mama Work It and also hosts an amazing podcast with the same name. I will give you all the links in my description box. And since Marisa and I spoke once on her podcast about body image, I really wanted to go and continue that conversation here as well, with some different topics, and then let's see where it gets us. So, Marisa, welcome to my
Thank
YouTube
you.
channel. How are you
Super
doing?
excited to be here. Yeah, thanks. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about body image. It's something that we have covered and spoke about before. And the first thing that came to my mind was the whole idea of body positivity. What do you think about the movement? How do you see body positivity? What is it to you? And do you see anything that doesn't sit well with you when we talk about body positivity?
Well, I really like that I'm noticing more inclusivity when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
body positivity out
Okay.
there. When you're looking at websites buying clothes and things like that, you're
Right.
not seeing the typical size 2 model
Mm-hmm.
anymore. You're seeing
Mm-hmm.
all different
Yeah.
shapes and sizes. And I think that's important because not only is it nice to see someone potentially who looks more like you wearing the clothes before you buy
Yeah.
them to know
Yeah.
like how are they going to fit me and things like that, but
Mm.
that's what real life is. Real life
Right.
is all different shapes and sizes and diversity out there. So I'm seeing a trend personally in more diversity when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
that and
Mm-hmm.
showcasing that, and I'm a fan.
Okay. Do you? I feel quite the same because I'm not a size zero or a
Hmm.
size two or whatever I'm supposed to be. The thing that I find interesting is that we actually needed that term, body positivity, because it was all so negative, like
Mm,
in the sense that you're never good enough and your body is never good enough and you always need to shrink it and change it somehow to fit into that mold that was served to us for so long. So the term came out, I think, out of the need to get out of that, bashing yourself and not liking your body. And do you think that there is love when it comes to the body, that you can actually love your body at every size? Do you think it's realistic, or are people secretly always trying to lose weight, change something in order to actually fit in somewhat what we would call beauty standards today?
I think it's realistic. I think it's
Okay.
realistic to be happy in any size. I think it also exists that people are protruding that toxic positivity out there where they're
Yes.
saying one thing but they're feeling something else.
Right.
So I think both probably exist, but I do, call me an optimist, but I do think it is possible because I feel like even take the example, take the body out of the question for a second. Take the example of success. Success looks different to different people.
Right.
For
Right.
some people, hitting success, feeling successful is, making 6 figures a year and they feel like, oh, that's what I'll feel, I'll feel successful when I hit that. For other
Yeah.
people, it's making 7 figures a year. For other people, it's having flexibility in their schedule. It
Mm-hmm.
has all these different definitions and you can feel it at in any way, shape, or form in any like season you're in. And it
Mm-hmm.
really comes from the internal feeling of, do I feel successful right now? Do I feel positive with my
Right.
body right now? It
Right.
starts from within. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not good to practice healthy habits or to maybe be striving for a weight goal or anything like that. That's fine. I
Yeah.
think if
Yeah,
that's what you
absolutely.
feel
Mm-hmm.
like is where you want to be, but I think it starts from within. It's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like feeling grateful for what you have while still working to achieve other things.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was aiming at, because I have a bit of an issue with body positivity because of the way maybe how I understood it in the beginning, right? So for
Mm.
me, my issue is that I don't think I can love my body every day. I don't think I can be, excited every day about what I see in the mirror. But that's probably why I prefer like being neutral towards the body. Do you know what I mean? Like I can feel that some days I feel more puffy, bloated. I don't really love what I see, and I don't want to feel like I have to force myself so that I will be part of this whole movement of like we love our body at every size. I think I am more inclined to be in this, okay, I don't necessarily need to love it, but I will not go against it. I will not try to change it, bash it, ruin my day because of what I see in the mirror, rather than expecting that every day I will be obsessed with the way I look. I don't think that that's very, at least for me, I don't know what you think, but I don't think it's very realistic. And I used to think that, okay, if I want to accept my body, I need to love it at all times.
Hmm.
But I just don't know how possible that is.
I don't think that's possible. I
Right?
don't think that's
Right?
possible with anything. I mean, I think that, well, let me take that back. I'm sure it is possible, right? But
Yeah.
I think it might be unrealistic in the sense of I compare this to anything, right? Some days you wake up and you are just on fire. You are so excited, like nothing can break your spirit. Other days it's harder to
Yeah.
have that level of energy and motivation. And honoring that shift and flow, I think is what's important and is what you're saying with regards to the body, right? Like being okay with the fact that not every day are you going to feel your best in your body,
Yeah.
but that's the normal flow of kind of just how life is, right? And that
Right.
doesn't mean you shame yourself for that, or now all of a
Yeah.
sudden you hate your body on Tuesday but you loved it on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But you can really just accept that and
Mm-hmm.
overall overarchingly holistically love your body in that way.
Yeah. And this is interesting what you said. Like you can absolutely love and hate your body within 24 hours or within an hour even. Like things can change. And do you think that that is connected? We obviously know that the body cannot change within 24 hours drastically. So it's the perception of the body that has changed. And do you think that the perception of the body changes because of how we eat in those 24 hours? Like if I eat healthy, I see my body, looking better. But the moment I eat something which that particular person deems unhealthy or makes you gain weight, that automatically 5 pounds overnight. Do you have that kind of experience?
I've had that experience in the past, in past
Mm-hmm.
seasons, where I
Mm-hmm.
have obsessed over things like this. I
Yeah.
have spiraled, in sort of poor eating habit the day before and then sort of feeling like, well, what's the point, or
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you hit something really important when you said if you can treat it not as an obsession, but just sort of as a component. And maybe
Yeah.
I'm changing your terminology a little bit, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I was thinking when you said that. And I think that's really important because
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing, it's not everything.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention too is like I think something that is incredibly impactful when it comes to our body that we don't often focus on or think about. It's one of those things we sort of like take for granted is what about all the things it's doing for us? Like
Yeah.
not just the way it
Mm-hmm.
looks, but
Yeah.
like it's helping us get up and walk around.
Absolutely.
It's delivering babies. It's like producing life, It's helping us like talk and smile and like just all these things that we're able to do, communicate,
Mm-hmm.
exercise, drive a car, just all the incredible things our body is capable of. And we take it for granted, and not to like make you feel bad or anything if you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. But just thinking about that instead of like, how am I going to look in that outfit or those jeans or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is?
Yeah, and I think like if we come back to the food part, definitely the way if you have been prompt to think that certain foods are making you gain weight, it's almost like a switch turns into your head if you have a distorted relationship with food that you have eaten that food, like that pizza, that donut, or whatever, and your mind, you're not first of all able to enjoy, but your mind is also thinking like this is automatically weight gain, and then automatically you don't see your body as attractive as maybe you would have the previous day when you ate a salad. It's an interesting way of thinking because technically you can overeat on any food if you want to.
Totally.
It's not like this one will make you gain weight or not. But when you talk about being grateful for things. I think like once you are not able to those things, you start appreciating it, just like with everything in life, I guess. Like once you're sick or you have some disability or something, you then realize that it may be more important than, the size of your genes. But there is something about the culture and the media, which I want to come to now, that celebrates only how the body looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you noticed that? And I have noticed this over the years of growing up in a very distorted environment, that like I was never celebrated for anything other than the way my body looked.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think, even nowadays, I don't think that anyone comes is like, oh, I love what you said about this, or this topic that you covered on your blog made me think about this, or your parenting style, or whatever. Your cake is amazing. No, it's always, how did you get those abs, or what size of the jeans, or did you lose some weight? Did you gain some weight? It's always about the looks. What do you think about that?
Well, I definitely think women feel that more than men, for sure. I
Oh,
recently
sure.
saw, I don't know if you've seen this commercial recently where they showed the difference between, they interviewed male athletes and they asked them
Okay.
questions that women athletes were getting. And the
Okay.
male athletes were like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
they
well,
were
yeah, I've seen it.
so
I've seen it.
confused by these questions,
Yeah.
right? They were, why are you asking me that? They were all related to like body image,
Mhm.
relationships, like things that had nothing to do with their talent.
Yeah.
And then they showed the clip next of them asking the women the same questions, and the women almost having to like appease and answer the answer the questions because culturally
Yeah.
it was
That's what
acceptable
we answer.
and
Yeah.
with one
Hmm.
gender than the other. So that's one thing that stands out to me. So I definitely think women get hit harder with this, with the overall look. I can just say, and I've been guilty of this myself, I've
Of
stopped doing
course.
this,
Of
but
course.
when you compliment someone sometimes, or when you get a compliment, it's always like, "You look great. Have you lost weight?"
Yeah.
or something like that. And
Yeah.
I've stopped saying that because I understand that could be so triggering, or like maybe that
Hmm.
person's not trying to lose weight, or so many reasons. And let's get real, like being a smaller weight isn't necessarily always a good look on
Yeah.
everyone. So,
Absolutely.
but I think that's something that stands out to me, is like that's such an acceptable comment
Yeah.
even still. I mean, in all honesty, if someone said that to me, I wouldn't be offended.
No, I wouldn't be either. I think the problem is just that we have accepted to comment on the body
Yes.
as something which is, like what's the weather like? And
Mm-hmm.
yet it's a much more complex than is it raining or snowing outside. I think if you compliment weight loss without knowing what's happening in the background, and I'm not even saying if that person really wanted to lose weight. Let's say that the person really wanted to lose weight, but the way that they lost it is so unhealthy. You are
Mm-hmm.
sending a message like now you look great. And that happened to me, is that when I would lose weight by starving myself and over exercising and isolating myself from the world, and then you tell me that I look great, my mind is not accepting it as, okay, you look great. It's like you need to stay like that, which
This is
means you
where
need to
people
keep
accept
doing.
me.
This is where
Yeah.
people accept me, love me, validate me. This is where my worth is when I look like that, which
Mm-hmm.
means I need to keep doing exactly what I have been doing in order to keep that weight. But at the same time, if I would, and then I would knew at the same time, if I gain weight, I'm losing their respect and I'm losing everything that I worked so hard for. So that's why for me, commenting on the body is not something that I'm very comfortable with anymore. And I realized another thing, and I want to tackle you this one, is that when you have your own body issues, you are more prone to comment on other people's bodies. I think that the person that is
Oh,
happy with their own
interesting.
body doesn't do that. Like,
So
that's what I
interesting.
did that, and I did that all the time. Like, who is thinner, who is more toned, who is eating what, how much of what they're, like just obsessing over other people's
Yeah.
bodies, compositions, whatever. But that's when I had an issue. And now I see that for the past, whatever, 12, 13 years, I don't do that because I don't care. Like it's not in my radar, you know?
I love that you said that. And I think that's so true. When you are more, not to say in tune, like really captivated by this in your own
Mhm.
self,
Yeah.
you do notice it more in others because you're likely comparing
Yeah.
yourself to others. And
Hmm.
I've been in those shoes myself. I mean, I definitely went through my own sort of like eating how do I call it? Like, I guess obsessive season where I just wanted
Yeah.
to either be losing weight or I was gaining weight and I was unhappy about it or whatever it was. And it was mainly linked to, an unhealthy lifestyle during that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
But yeah, once you get into like a rhythm and a flow, it's no longer the center of your universe, and it's so
Yeah.
freeing.
Yeah.
It's so freeing, and you're right, you don't comment on things like that because you're not thinking about them.
Yeah, it's not your focus, I guess, right? I mean, it's just one of those things I've noticed, and I always say to people that I think when someone comments on your body, they're dealing with something on their own, or they don't want their body to be the center of attention, then everything is put on you. And there's just like the shift, like, let's deal now with Marissa's body. Like, let's not deal with
Right.
mine.
There's
Because there is
some,
some
yeah,
some issue going on there.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, they're feeling self-conscious about it, so
Yeah,
they want to
absolutely. Yeah.
direct the attention elsewhere. Totally.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure I've done that many
Oh, for
times.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the point where, like on social media, for example, like I think we are seeing a lot of different movements, and in the same tone, having before and after pictures, where your before is my after, doesn't necessarily make you feel great. So again, that even a movement like that, or just seeing people's bodies all the time, what I eat in a day videos, like what are my best
Yep.
practices, my supplements, my regime, my this, my that. I think people lose being in touch with their own body and copying other people. And I don't know where is the thin line between, oh, this is an inspiration, or this is leading me to an obsessive relationship with food and my body, with what I see on social media.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually just came across a before and after picture
Okay.
of someone I follow and I respect on social media. And I could see how that could be triggering for some
Right.
people.
Right.
Personally, I got motivated by it.
Okay.
I got motivated by
Tell
the
me more.
caption. Yeah, I got motivated by the caption. She definitely looked great before,
Mm-hmm.
and she looked even better after, you know? And her caption said something like, it's not like I was in a bad place before with my body, but I got comfortable and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to push myself and really, I don't remember the word she used, but it was sort of like related to all things in life. Like sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
get kind of stagnant and
Yeah,
comfortable,
for
and it's
sure.
good to push yourself and challenge yourself a little bit and see what you're capable of. And
Mm-hmm.
so it got me excited because I think I have hit a little bit of a season like
Me
that in
too.
my
Okay.
body.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, maybe this is what I needed to see to kind of reignite myself to push toward a health goal or some
Okay.
type of fitness regime that maybe I haven't been as committed to the past few
Mm-hmm.
months or whatever that is. So I think it could go either way. I think again, it starts internally.
Yeah.
Those things are always going to be on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are always going to put things like that. The
Mm-hmm.
health coaches are going to be on there showing you results their clients are getting, and that could be triggering for you and make
Mm-hmm.
you feel crappy about yourself, or that could be inspiring to you. It's with
Yeah.
anything on social media, it's always a highlight reel. I
Yeah.
recently had a guest on my
Absolutely.
podcast who said, you're going to compare apples to oranges if you scroll social media and start feeling bad about yourself because you're comparing someone's highlight reel to your behind the scenes
Yeah.
life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
unrealistic, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other thing I want to say about the social media though is we have to tread with caution. Why? Because
Okay.
filters. Filters, honey,
Obviously.
right?
Obviously.
Photoshop, all the things. And I mean, sometimes it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
So we
Especially if
have
you
to tread with
especially if you
caution.
don't know the person and then you're kind of aware it's a filter. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have the incredible beauty lighting here when I'm looking in my regular head to
Yeah, yeah.
ceiling to floor mirror.
Mm,
I'm not with the ring light in front of me all the time. Like,
yeah.
it's real life versus something that's likely edited. And so we see how simple it is
Yeah.
to do it.
I think with social media, this thing that you said that motivated you, I can totally understand how it can be motivating for some people and triggering for others.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, and I think that this is where the importance of external validation comes to place versus knowing who you truly are. I think
Yes.
the external validation you seek from other people, and therefore you're constantly changing something, hoping that this next look will get you either the likes, the comments, the followers, or in your private life, again, the likes and the comments, and more people appreciating the way you look. But there is a deep down, a more serious problem to solve if
Yes.
you are not in tune with your own body and you're seeking validation externally instead of like internally knowing what fits best for you. I have no problem nowadays to be motivated by those things, but I'm telling you, like 25 years ago, it would have been a massive trigger to go on a super restrictive diet, low calorie, no carbs, to achieve that, because I would
Right.
see that person as a successful, happy, because I linked everything to the body, all the happiness in the world. And that would have propelled me to enter in a cycle of severe dieting, which would lead me just to more binging at some point because I would not be able to sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's threading these things with caution. Of course, it's your internal work rather than expecting that it will not appear on social media. But that's where I find those types of photos at times triggering or misleading or
Yes.
not really telling you that the result is actually not their 12-week challenge, but it's much more work than what it is, that
Mm-hmm.
everyone is selling something. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think with social media, just a little bit more caution, like what you follow.
Yes,
And,
a hundred
and
percent.
yeah, and I think also like if you're trying to heal your relationship with food or body image issues, you cannot follow constantly weight loss
Oh yeah.
accounts. I
Yeah.
think that's just counterproductive, because weight loss has a specific target, you losing weight. But here we're talking about healing body image, which is not related to weight.
And can we also talk about the fact that life is not fair? Some people can eat whatever they want,
Yeah, true.
not gain a pound,
Yeah.
and some people can, look at a piece of cake and gain a pound. And like it's just a real unequal challenge.
I
And
agree.
so we have to remember that too, that like we can't dwell on that. We can't just be, dwell in, oh, life's not fair and victimize ourselves in that
Yeah.
way either, because we're just going to end up stuck.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think also with that victimization, I think it's very easy to be in victim mode. And I'm not trying to bash anyone because I was in the same mode. Like, why
Hmm.
am I exercising so much and I'm not getting the results?
Same here. Yeah.
So can it be genetics? Sure, but can it also be my responsibility that I'm doing things the way that I think that they should be by copying other people who are not me? Like it
Yes.
took me a long time to understand that if you and I ate the same, we would not get the same results. Like it just was not something that I was willing to accept. And I also thought it's always me the problem. I'm not pushing hard enough and I'm not motivated and I'm lazy and I'm not doing it hard-heartedly enough. So I think that that's where being of an understanding that like your own body and then what fits into your body, but that's like a journey to understand where you need to be with food, with exercise, with whatever else is going on in your life.
And
But yeah,
it likely changes every, 10 years or so, right?
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's also another thing. I'm 41 and I'm watching 23-year-olds, like posting their photos. And I'm thinking, I never looked like that at 23. There is a reason for that.
Hmm.
So I didn't look like that at 23. I'm not probably going to look like that after two kids at 41. And that's also the understanding of the body changing and accepting it. And again, to come to the positivity, it's not about being super happy about every inch of your body, but it's just like it is what it is now. And, like accepting that that's where you are now. Can you change something? Yes, but not changing it out of place of hate, but more like I want to do something better for my body out of place of love,
Yeah.
like not being in that harsh mode.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences, or have you had any experiences with bad body image or body dysmorphia, or, seeing yourself in the mirror and not particularly not liking what you see, but unrealistically seeing flaws and things that were not there?
Yeah. Yeah,
How did you
100%.
deal with that?
I think the biggest season of this for me was probably like high school, college years.
Okay.
And there was a lot of fluctuation in weight
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
just things like up and down. And I always felt better when I was in seasons where I was probably not eating enough and had lost, weight that I had gained quickly and then lost it. And I was feeling
Mm-hmm.
better, but I couldn't sustain it because the lifestyle changes and all the
Mm-hmm.
things. And so it was like yo-yoing, I mean, constantly. And it was tough and it had a real
Yeah.
effect on me for
Yeah.
sure. And I mean, what was your question? How did I deal with it?
Yeah. How did you deal with body image issues, and maybe if you had
Yeah.
body dysmorphia? I don't know. I for sure had it, but like,
Yeah.
how did you deal with that? How did you accept that, okay, this is my body. It might not be at the way that I want it. Maybe
It
that
was
weight is not
hard.
realistic.
I
That
don't
point.
think during that period I ever accepted it.
Mm.
I think I only ever accepted it during, the few months of the year that I could maintain
Okay.
a lower weight. I was definitely obsessed and in that mode, and it's all I thought about. And it was, you know, it was, it was really, it really took an emotional toll when I would,
Yeah.
weigh more or, eat
Mm-hmm.
things or
Mm-hmm.
that were making me feel like not good in my body.
Yeah.
And then I will tell you the thing that really resolved this
Yeah.
was getting back to a place where I had more consistency in my
Okay.
lifestyle.
Okay.
I was able to get to a weight that I felt comfortable in my body,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't necessarily like through a way of, depleting myself of calories
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was through healthy habits and good things like that. It took more time to get there.
Yeah.
But then, only then was I able, when I kind of got to that place, to let go of that obsession
Mm-hmm.
and to be able, like you said, to not think about it as much.
Right.
I wouldn't say it left me, 6 months later it was gone. I think it still lingered here
Yeah.
and
Of
there. And
course. Of
especially
course.
when you're in your 20s, I think like
Mm-hmm.
your appearance is so important to you, at least to a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people during that
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, and then it just got to a place where I didn't have to, it didn't overpower me anymore,
Mm-hmm.
which was so
Yeah.
freeing because I think
Yeah.
really my whole life up until that point, it was such a part of me. It's
Yeah.
what I had grown up like seeing, and
Yeah, for
in the
sure.
80s and 90s it was such a big
Mm-hmm.
part, supermodels and things like
Yeah.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
it was normal to compliment people on looking so skinny and all these things. And my mom would diet, and these are things I just knew and
Yeah.
saw, and so they were
Same.
normal parts
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
life. And so yeah, I think until I just really like stepped fully into adulthood and was on this routine of healthier habits and, kind of more stability in that way,
Mm-hmm.
did I was I able to let go of some of that and just
Mm-hmm.
like be more of a
Yeah.
whole person.
Mm-hmm. I think for me it was quite similar because I also grew up in the environment of being fat or overweight was unacceptable. Like you had to look presentable, and then therefore you will be accepted by society. You will have a partner. You will be successful. It was all linked to the way you look. And not necessarily because I was a girl. Like I heard this message also given to my brother, except that he didn't take it as seriously as I did. But I think that the obsession with the body for me was very much linked to the number on the scale and what I was eating. So my ideas of how my body looked or how I felt about my body, which are obviously two different things, they were fluctuating on a daily and
Yes.
ruining my day or making my day. And I think that that all happened because I was chasing a number on the scale. By chasing the number on the scale with crazy diets, I was either extremely happy or extremely sad, and therefore that's what I thought about my body. And then the body itself became a project. Let's measure it, let's weigh, let's pinch, let's see how much more I need to lose. Let's buy smaller clothes so that I can fit into them. Everything revolved around that. But actually, the body was a symptom of me chasing something which was not sustainable unless I really wanted to live on 800 calories for the rest of my life. And I think for me, the moment that my body image started to shift was when I healed my relationship with food. It kind of went hand in hand, like when I started to really understand, why am I dieting so much? What am I trying to prove? How is my diet? What are my triggers? What are my, emotions around food? So when I started to work on that aspect and let go of that crazy number I was working on so hard, it took years to get to that. But then you see you can live your life without that crazy diet lifestyle, and then that's how my body image came into shape and I started to like what I see. I was not able to like or accept what I see in the mirror before figuring the food out, or the crazy cardio sessions that I was doing, until I realized like this is probably not the best thing for me. And I would say that even today, there are days when I'm like, I don't really like what I see in the mirror. Like, did I gain some weight? Like, what's going on? But it doesn't make my day. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a thought that can come and go. It's not something to hold on to as a validation of who I am, which was not the case before.
Yeah. Such a good point. That number on the scale can be so triggering.
I mean, I don't have a scale.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not chasing weight loss. For me, the scale is not information as it should be. For me, the scale for so long was just like, did you lose or did you gain?
Right.
It was just always, and then like, that's your value for the day, and this is how much you can eat or not eat, or this is how much
Right.
you need to burn off or earn the food. It was never like, oh, when we eat this, we lose, like having a, relaxed relationship with it. The trigger with the scale was massive for me.
And I don't know if you ever felt this, but you reminded me when I was in that season of like if you got invited to something, like a social event or
Oh
something, the
my
first
God,
thing I
I
would
can
think
see
of,
where this is going.
the first thing I would think of during that
Yeah.
time would be, is it worth going?
Yes, of course.
I'm going to totally break my diet, or
100%.
there's going to be too much temptation there,
Hmm.
or am I going to look thin enough for what I want to wear to this?
All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where I abused exercise. I abused exercise like this. Okay, so if I go tonight at your event, I will try as much as I can to not eat or to nibble, right? But if it happens, like, and this is how the mind works, like hours before the event, but if it happens that I just cannot stop eating because it's a scenario that I was familiar with, that once given the food, I would binge, then tomorrow it's 3 hours of working out. Or I would say, okay, if I have an event in the evening, then I will not eat throughout the day. I will do my cardio so that I can earn Marisa's food.
Right? You have
Like
to like
it's,
either punish yourself or reward
I
yourself.
mean, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's not, it wasn't a very straightforward, let's eat normally throughout the day, and then that will be just one of those regular normal meals at an event. But that's because at these events, you always have the food that you are restricting yourself.
Yes, the
And
deprivation.
the
Absolutely.
deprivation, and then it just kicks in. It's like, and it's an interesting thing for someone who was so disciplined with dieting. you put me in a position where there is trigger foods, and I can automatically tell myself, it's fine, it's a cheat day. And it never clicked to me, why is this now a cheat day? It's because you don't allow yourself to eat these foods. And then you just cannot stop. Because I remember so many events where I would binge. I would not even pay attention to what people were telling me because I was just so obsessed with getting more food for that evening. Because at the same time, when you eat, or when I was overeating, I was telling to myself, this is the last time. Like from tomorrow, you're going to be good. You're going to burn this off.
Right.
Then we're
Right.
not going to eat. And then, then you start clean again. So it wasn't even enjoying the the food that I was allowing myself. It was still
Totally.
punishment. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
And the same with the clothes, but you say, will something fit or not fit? It was the constant obsession around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about just like how impactful that can be on your quality of life.
I
I mean,
mean,
it
it
now
affects
bleeds
everything.
into everything. Bleeds
Yeah,
into everything.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when you say like the different, it's not just your relationship with food or exercise or your body that's affecting you. It's like affecting your social life. It's affecting your dating life because you have this big, I don't want to call it secret, but in a way it is a secret. At least it was for me, the way I lived. And I was like, how can I share this with somebody? It's because deep down I knew how embarrassing it was, or I was embarrassed by it. Or maybe it was not at that time something we talked about so freely. So I just
Right.
didn't talk about it. But it does affect different aspects of your life. But tell me one thing. If you could tell yourself, in your 20s when you were suffering something about body image that could resonate today with someone that is 20 years old, what would you say? That's the best advice that you can give.
So many things. Probably the most important and best advice would be like not to take it so seriously, not to be so hard on yourself. And also like you look damn good. You're in your 20s. Remember that.
You will never be in your 20s again. Yeah,
Right? Just like embrace the fact that you're young. You got that
true.
going for you right now.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. I agree. I think to end on this note, I think it's not something that you can escape. Like you have a body to live in,
Right.
and instead of always thinking what's wrong with it or what you have to fix and to change, just for a split second, just try to look what you already have or what you need more of instead of what you
Right.
need to cut all the time. Like, do you need more love or do you not need more rest or do you need more nourishment rather than I need to cut, or change
Right.
or fix, like that. I think that shift in the mindset is something that has helped me. That's what I would, that's how I would love to have been taught to think at the time, but
Yeah.
obviously I wasn't. So yeah, thank you for this interview. I really enjoyed talking
Yeah.
to you. I
Me
know it's late
too.
where you are, so we're gonna
No, this
be
was great.
ready to wrap it up. And I will let everyone know where they can reach out, and we can talk some more about it.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.